Foam ruins are pretty much a staple of fantasy-themed wargaming tables. This super versatile material is fun and really rewarding to work with, but it can be really daunting if you've never used it before. There's definitely a learning curve to carving by hand, and some tools for more advanced techniques, such as hot wire cutters, aren't exactly cheap, and a pretty big investment if you've never used one before. So before you dive in, I'm going to show you how I built this modular foam ruin with no tools at all. I'm Benji, and welcome to Benji's Hobbies. Now, when I say this build takes zero tools, I literally mean it takes zero tools. Not even a craft knife. You don't need anything to put it all together. Now, I'm using this skirmish terrain kit from Fire Dragon Games, which at the time of making this video is £25, and has enough bits to make 6 different ruins. It comes with some pre-cut and textured flagstone bases, wall supports, pre-cut foam walls, some detailing bits and pieces, and a bucket load of pre-cut bricks. The thing I like most about the floor tiles is they can either be used individually or pushed together to make a single larger ruin. The wall supports are pretty intuitive to put together, and I'm just gluing these in place with a little dab of super glue. I often get asked what the spray I'm using is, and it's Superglue Activator, which helps superglue sets almost instantly, and it's something that I'd recommend all hobbyists have in their toolbox. It means you don't have to hold bits in place while the glue dries, so it's really useful for bits like this where a quick bond is really useful. The pre-cut foam sheets are easily glued onto the wall supports with a bit of wood glue. Now, you could cut these down to make them look a little bit more ruined, but I'm keeping them whole for this build to fit within the spirit of using no tools. With the foam glued in place, I'm gluing the second floor on. The textured finish is a lovely little feature, and in hindsight I wish I'd kept this separate to paint it on its own, but hey, you live and learn. With the manor house put together, the fun bit can begin, and I'm gluing some of these loose bricks in place. The beauty of working with individual bricks like this is you can literally build it however you want, and it's almost like building a Lego set. I'm just using a small brush and wood glue to glue these in place. I'm adding bricks to the top of the wall, and I'm also gluing some on the floor as well to represent bricks that might have crumbled and fallen onto the floor from the main building. The final details to add are the resin door surrounds, which really help complete the look. Now, the next bits to put together are the smaller cottages. With these, you have a little more freedom to build them as big or as small as you want. For me, I just want them to be smaller line of sight blockers, so I'm not building them up too high. However, to add a bit more rigidity whilst the glue dries, I'm sliding in some pins, which I'll remove later once it's set. With the glue all dry, I'm loving how these are looking already, but before we go on with the painting and detailing, let me tell you a little bit about this video's sponsor. Now, even though my YouTube channel has been up and running for over 2 years, I still feel some serious imposter syndrome. But one thing that definitely makes me look and feel more legit is having my own dedicated website hosted by the dudes over at Squarespace. Squarespace make it so easy to set up a professional looking website in just a few clicks. Their templates are effortless to use and totally customizable to my needs, so I can make a website that is personal to me and that I can be really proud of. One of my favorite features is being able to embed videos in my site, so you can check out my most recent YouTube videos direct from my website rather than having to search for them through YouTube. And what's more, I can check out a ton of analytics and get some insight into how much traffic my site is getting, all from just a few clicks. So if you want to look like a totally legit YouTuber just like me, then go and set up a Squarespace website today. And by using my link, which you'll find down in the description below, you'll save a chunky 10% off your first website or domain purchase. I mean, what's not to love? So with the ruins all built, it's time to start painting. I'm aiming to go for roughly the same colour as the flagstone board I built in my last video, so I'm going to be using roughly the same process. I'm starting with a layer of Mod Podge and black paint, which will not only act as the base colour, but add some strength and protection to the foam as well. I'm also painting this all over the MDF floor tiles, but do my best to avoid the wooden floor section. For anyone wondering, yes, you can in fact get Mod Podge and black out of your clothes. Give it a rinse in warm water to remove the bulk of it, spray some vanish on and chuck it in the washing machine. When the Mod Podge is dry, I used a grey craft paint to essentially wet brush over everything. I'm not removing all of the paint off the brush like you would with a dry brush, but leaving enough to give me a decent coverage over the foam, while still leaving black in the darkest recesses. This is a massively satisfying part of the process because everything's one colour and starts to look really uniformed. Now if you wanted, you could leave them like this and they'd be perfectly respectable as pieces of terrain, but I'm going to take these to the next level with some super simple techniques. First, I'm going to add a bit of contrast using some spray paints, in particular these two from the Colourforge. By selectively spraying over the ruins, you can create areas of high contrast and zenithal highlight them, meaning that they look lighter at the top and darker near the bottom. It's easy to go overboard here, so it's better to be selective about where you spray, but don't worry if they look too stark right now, we'll be bringing that back down in the next step. For anyone concerned about my health using spray cans indoors, let me assure you I have the doors open, so there is plenty of ventilation running through the garage, and this step literally takes a couple of minutes, so I'm not spraying indoors for extended periods of time. Once the spray paint is dry, I'm mixing up some homemade wash using water, matte medium and a little brown and black ink. In terms of ratios, I'm literally just eyeballing this. I start off with a roughly 50-50 mix of medium and water before adding the ink to taste. I'd suggest adding a small amount to begin with and adding more if you think it's necessary. I use a large brush to slosh this over the brickwork and floor and let it settle in the recesses. On the floor where there are large flat areas, I'm trying not to let it pool too much, so use a dry brush or sponge just to mop it away if you find you've got too much on. Finally, I'm painting the wooden floor area with one of the brown contrast paints. I find this gives a really nice wood-like finish and it's super simple to do as well. Now these are starting to look good and almost finished, but I'm going to add a few little details just to make them pop. I'm adding some small rubble piles using Geek Gaming Scenic's City Rubble Base Ready Mix. I'm laying down some thickish layers of fast drying basing glue in patches around the base of the walls and anywhere I stuck down loose bricks. I just sprinkle the base ready on and let the glue do its thing. Finally, I'm adding a little bit of scatterflock that comes with the kit, again just in small patches of the ruins. I want this to simulate leaf litter that might have blown into the ruins and got stuck, so I'm focusing this more in the corners or anywhere you might see leaves getting caught up. To seal everything down, I'm spraying small amounts of matte scenic sealant to hold everything in place. What I love about this stuff is even if your material isn't fully stuck down, a quick coat of this stuff will make sure it is. Finally, I'm adding a couple of grass tufts cut to size between the cracks in the flagstones, and with that these ruins are done and ready for gaming with. Now admittedly these aren't overly exciting as far as foam ruins go, but I love how simple and easy they were to build. Not to mention that they come in a kit which includes everything you need to put them together. If you've never done any foam modelling before but you're keen to give it a go, then this is definitely something for you to try, and you'll end up with a sweet table full of terrain once you're done. I'm loving the modularity of these pieces too. I like the fact that they can all be used as standalone large ruins, placed together to make large, more intact buildings, or laid out to represent a larger ruined stronghold that might need defending. I'm not affiliated in any way with Fire Dragon Games, but I think it's just a really cool product, so definitely go and check them out. Links, as always, are down in the description. And finally, make sure you check out Squarespace to make yourself look totally legit, and use my link to get a nifty 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.